Disc 1, Side 2.
Hey guys, so like we said last week, we had to split this one into two parts. So sorry about that. We didn't mean to go over, literally double the time that we had set aside to record. But thanks for sticking around. If you didn't stick around, you're not listening to this, so this doesn't apply to you. All right, let's get started, I guess.
Hey again, guys. So sorry for the third interruption. I just wanted to say, because I didn't really explain, you are listening to the second part of the first episode of the new podcast that we're trying to start, called Talking Pictures with Talking Pictures. We, collectively, are Talking Pictures, and we are going to talk about Talking Pictures. The movies, not ourselves. So, that is the origin of our crappy name. Like I said, this is the second part of the first episode, so if you're just tuning in now, definitely go back and check out last week's episode. What we're doing is we're breaking down all of our favorite movies of 2017 by genre, and then at the very end of this episode, we will unveil our official Talking Pictures top 10 best movies of 2017. So if you're interested in that stuff, definitely hang out and keep listening. Right now we're in the drama category where we left off last week, and we're talking about the movie Three Billboards. Our audio kind of got cut off somewhere in the middle randomly, or we paused it rather. And so that's where we ended last week. We were sort of in the middle of talking about Three Billboards. And so that's where we're going to pick up this week. And then we're going to go through the rest of the genres and then do our top 10. If you liked last episode, thanks so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this one too. We really enjoyed making it. We're about to get into it. I think that's all I had to say. Oh yeah. I wanted to say really quick, sorry for the weird audio quality. I apologized at the end of last episode too, but this is the first time we're doing it, and we didn't know we were gonna have to split it, etc. So it kind of got a little jumbled. I'm in my car again right now, so sorry. Also, my name is Anthony Barnett. Sitting on my right while we recorded was Coley Irving. On his right was Jaycee Flowerree, and on his right, my left, whoa, cool, right? Was Shane Smiskol. So that's us. Yeah, I think that's it. We hope you enjoy it. Good luck. Godspeed, soldier.
So for those of you who don't know, my water bottle's not in here. Hold on.
For those of you who don't know, Anthony's water bottle is
not in here.
So this is our first game of D&D.
Alright guys, I'm gonna roll a 6. You walk into a dungeon.
You see a strange...
And there's a dragon.
You see a strange man standing before you. He attacks with level 20 iron sword.
Roll for initiative.
What do you do? I block. Then I parry. Then I counter attack.
Okay, let's go.
So, for those of you who didn't see it, it's about a mom who's played by Frances McDormand. Also, for those of you who noticed a really obvious cut in there, we cut because we all need to go to the bathroom. But so, I'm back to my stuttery self. Frances McDormand plays a mom whose daughter is murdered, and
very gruesomely.
Very gruesomely.
Oh yeah, and
goodness.
And the police are not looking for the guy who did it.
Why not?
So,
Well, I haven't seen it.
watch the movie, Shane. I think it's because they're we never find these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're the investigation's over, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, essentially,
they
she just ends up taking matters in her own hands. She does what the title says. She puts up three
She
billboards.
puts up 3 billboards that call out is he the chief?
So it's like I
Yes.
don't feel at home in the school anymore.
Chief Darby.
Except it's just herself in the billboard.
It's Willoughby. Why did I say Darby?
No. Woody Harrelson brings up a good point why they're not looking for him here.
Yeah.
And it's that he says, what if he was just passing through the town? And she's like, well, I say that at birth we should all...
Oh, yeah. That moment's great.
Take
That's such
blood
a
from them.
beautiful character moment.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm dying. I have cancer.
Yeah.
She's like, well, that sucks. Basically. Is
But yeah, so she puts out billboards that are calling essentially him out.
yeah.
for not looking for this guy. And he's like, can you put those down? I'm gonna die soon. I don't want to die with those up and with my kids, like seeing that stuff. And she's like, nuh-uh. And then he kills himself, etc., etc., etc. She goes in to pay, I think, the next month's rent. Or no, she goes in to take him down. And the guy who owns the billboards is like, oh, someone paid for him, and we don't know who. And then she gets a letter from the chief saying that he was the one that paid for it. And then Sam Rockwell, does his thing. She does her thing. It truly is.
Also,
what up?
Quick talk about the tracking shot of Sam Rockwell's character.
Yes, walking up the stairs, punching.
He breaks
Red.
the window with his baton, and
What's
he
his-
goes up the stairs.
What's
It's
that
Red.
actor's name? From,
Caleb Landry.
Yeah, Caleb Landry
Yeah.
Jones, right?
Caleb Landry Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, throws him out the window.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a good.
All in
such a
one
good scene.
take. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant movie.
Yes, great. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
Superhero. Shane?
That would easily, for me,
Okay.
either be Guardians of the Galaxy or Thor. I can't make
Okay.
up my mind.
Let's talk a little bit about him.
Guardians of the
I love
Galaxy
the humor
2.
in all the Marvel movies.
I haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
The
It's
movie.
fantastic.
It
Did you
is
see the first one?
Yes.
the first 2 acts are, and I'm not kidding when I say this, are literally all over the place.
See, I disagree,
And
personally.
the movie feels like it's everywhere, and it feels like right on the 3rd act when everyone gets together, it feels like everything's back together, and it makes sense because then everything if it feels right. So that's why I don't think the first 2 acts should be like removed from the movie at all. But everything feels all over the place, and it's very confusing. Also, there are certain things that happen in that movie that I feel like were just better if they were left to the audience's imagination. Like there's one part.
Or did it stop? You stopped.
There was one point. Oh,
Sorry.
audio mishap.
Yeah, sorry guys. Keep talking. I'll cut this part out.
But it does stuff where it's just like I think I could have figured out what you're trying to say without you saying it. There's a scene between Nebula and whatever Zoe Saldana plays. Gamora. Where she basically is like, "Oh, I wish I would have had a sister," and that whole scene completely implies exactly what she's trying to say.
Yeah,
And
it doesn't imply it. It says it.
It
should have implied it, is what you meant.
well, no, to me, it felt like the point was already put across.
Oh, the scene implies it,
Yes.
and then she just
and
says
then she
it.
says
I get
it, and I was
Sorry.
it like completely took me out of the. It happened like twice. I can't remember another.
See,
moment.
It's when Yondu is like, he may have been your father, but I'm your daddy, and then everyone snickers in the theater because we were all teenagers, and we were like, what?
Whoa, that's cool.
Yeah, but what he means is like he might have been your biological dad, but I'm the guy that raised you. And if you take out the funny fact that he said daddy, you're like, yeah, we got it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I watched the first 10
But I
minutes
thought
of
it
the
was
movie, and then I stopped because
See, I loved it.
I think there are
loved it.
better,
I
but
love
but I will say this is the important part. It's a damn good way to end a superhero movie.
We got cut off. What was that?
I'm
Jaycee?
drinking my Waba.
Okay, so sorry, we got cut off. The last thing Coley said that got recorded was that the last 5 minutes of Guardians are the best way to end a superhero movie. I said, "Oh, you mean Yondu's funeral?" And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah." And then I don't think we made any more jokes. And then Coley said that his favorite superhero movie of last year was Spider-Man: Homecoming, and we all agreed that it's way better than the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And that
We didn't all agree.
And then those are terrible. And no, that's what we all agreed on, and no one can argue.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't agree, just for
Oh God.
just for the record.
Okay. So
We yelled about this for 10 minutes and then looked over at the recording and saw that it was off. But I really quick want to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. The thing I love about it, and the thing that sorry. I mean, you said before we started re-recording,
No, I
I was
meant
like,
the-
I don't have anything else to say.
I
And
meant
then
the thing
was-
about Guardians, because I know we have Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay,
And
yeah,
then
talk about Guardians.
about Logan again. It was the first movie that I ever felt like I could connect with the Peter Parker and then the Spider-Man. There's a moment
Yeah.
towards the end where a bunch of rubble falls on him, and he's sitting there and he's trying to push up the rubble, and he's like, "Come on, Peter! Come on, Peter!" And then he's like, come on, Spider-Man, and I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, that moment
Almost
was
started
great.
crying. I just get goosebumps start thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it. It was unique. I've never seen anything like it before in a superhero film.
Yeah.
The villain reveal is brilliant.
Oh yeah.
The villain itself is brilliant.
Dude, the idea of revealing that the supervillain that your main character has been fighting is your prom date's
Also his
dad.
prom date's
Is
dad.
that whoever came up with that, I can just imagine it's like a room of writers and someone was like, oh, the fucking prom date, and they were all like, what? And he was like, the vulture is the dad, her dad, and everyone was like, ah! Like I bet that, yeah.
Write it down. Write that down.
Yeah, that totally feels like just like a bunch of like dudes hanging out, and someone comes up with that idea, and they all go crazy. Yeah. Sorry.
So,
Oh yeah.
anyways,
Have fun with
what did
that
you
when
want to
you're
say about
editing.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's super.
Oh, you beat the mic?
It gets real loud.
Yeah.
But I'll
you Edward Furlong the mic.
Yeah. But so my thing with Spider-Man: Homecoming is the thing that I like most about it was what? What's up? What's up?
You can't just go around killing people.
Oh yeah.
Ow!
We had this joke after we saw Terminator 2 3D, where there's a part where
You can't just go around killing people.
yeah, John Connor says that to Arnie. The Arninator, I don't know. But, yeah, he's like, why? But we made the joke that the sound guy after Eddie Furlong said that line must have been like, just because his ears were like bleeding. Because you go, yeah, I mean they did it. I forget the line, otherwise I would do it for the 8th time. But anyway, so Spider-Man Homecoming, the thing I loved most about it, well, for one, it's like, it's small scale. It sort of tells you like what was going on with New York and with like the normal people world post the New York incident or whatever. The thing I like about it, which is the thing that I have a problem with the original Tongi McGuire trilogy, and Jaycee's not gonna like this, but is to me those movies are very melodramatic. They're very operatic, and there's a lot of crying that I personally feel like is unnecessary. Jaycee, okay, really quick. Jaycee was looking away and then slowly and angrily turned back at me and then raised his eyebrows as in like, fucking what now? But so, the thing that I loved about Spider-Man Homecoming is that all of his pressure to be Spider-Man or not be Spider-Man came from himself.
Exactly.
And that's why I felt like he was the most... What up?
The microphone's like falling out of the fucking the thing, dude.
Oh, God.
It was like hanging out.
Great. This is great. This is
Great
a good-
heavens.
This is a good
But yes,
episode.
the crisis of being Spider-Man, I think, is best shown.
Because like with Tobey Maguire, he's like crying all the time, and he's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man. Yeah, and I'm sorry, but it's very like,
Okay, well,
it's very like the world needs him to be Spider-Man versus he doesn't want it. Whereas with Spider-Man Homecoming, Tom Holland's Peter Parker is just like, either I hang out with my friends and like go swimming with the girl I like.
Tell me about it.
Those creeks are Coley trying desperately and vainly to adjust. But what I like is that for him it's like, do I go hang out with my friends?
do I want to be a kid or do I want to be?
Or do I go figure out what's going on with this guy? Like I think that a lot of it comes from the stakes, because it's not I'm gonna blow up the city. it's
blow up the city.
I'm standing in your doorway.
Did Mozart sleep when he blew up the city? Just doesn't make any sense.
It's like, did Edison sleep when he wrote the Fifth? Did Mozart sleep when he blew up the city?
It's this like terribly edited together mishmash. It's called Pizza Parker. That's what
Okay.
that's what
All right. We're getting off. We're
But
getting
so
off topic.
I just like that it's a very internal struggle, and the stakes aren't so high that he has to be Spider-Man versus he wants to not. Instead, he really wants to be Spider-Man and prove himself to like his father figure, Tony Stark, which that dynamic is awesome too. I'm gonna keep talking really, really fast so Jaycee can't talk.
Anyway, so
versus
Also, we need to
he
move
wants
on.
to hang out with the girl he likes. I don't know. I like that the stakes were low.
I just want
and
to say
it
that
wasn't.
you act like I look at the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man's movies as like a cinematic experience that I really enjoy. I don't at all. I just think they're goddamn hilarious.
I can never figure that out.
No, I don't look at those movies and go, dude, this is crazy. Like,
This is art.
This is art. No, I just look at it. I'm like, that's hilarious.
All right.
I love this.
Okay, because
So that's my thing.
to the audience, what's happened is Jaycee and I have had this argument for probably 8 hours of our entire life, like combined, like if you piled all of our arguments about it together, that's what it would be. And I always say stuff like I've been saying, and then he says, "But they're good," and so I couldn't tell if you didn't like them. But okay, I'm glad to know now.
All right.
Okay.
Next genre.
Wait,
which,
real quick. My favorite superhero movie was Logan because it was like a western. It was sad and it was emotional and it had small, intimate stakes. Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart are.
It's also my favorite superhero movie.
Yeah. I think it's the best superhero movie since Dark Knight. Genuinely.
Yes.
And it's not just because it's dark. It's just
agree.
because it truly is a great film, just like Dark Knight. Because I think a lot of people are making that comparison just because they're like, oh, they're both like sad and dark movies, but that's really not what it is. Look at Batman v Superman. Like, it's not that. Daphne Keane also kills it. It really couldn't have been that great, or as great as it was if she hadn't been great.
I
She
completely
plays
agree.
X-23. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I loved it.
Our next genre
Yes.
is, in my opinion, is very ironic because we're a group of teenage boys.
Whatever.
And
We're emotionally available.
Who
cares?
Two of the movies out of this list, I think wholeheartedly say ended up in almost all of our top threes.
Yeah.
3 of them are in my top 5. I'd like to say, but that is our romance genre.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Shane's up first, dog.
No, I'm not talking
okay.
about it. I'm just setting it up.
Oh.
It's
Sorry.
genuinely just one of the greatest years for films that just were about people that were in love, and that might sound cliched and that might sound lame, but it
doesn't.
We'll talk about it.
Sounds
a little
gay.
later. So, speaking of,
All right,
ahead, Shane.
Shane, what was it? Did you have any romance movies?
Thank you for that amazing setup,
no,
Coley.
the ball was in your court, Shane.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
All right, that's all good.
All right.
Except maybe 50 Shades Darker.
Okay, talk about that for sure.
Actually,
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, for
let's
sure.
hear it.
I've seen the one
yes.
with the,
that movie so much.
I've seen the one with the helicopter where it's going for 10 minutes and it's like falling into a forest.
And then it crashes. And
This
then
is a
she's on-
50 Shades movie?
Dude, listen. Do you
never-
not know about this?
No.
Oh my god,
Never wanted
yes.
a helicopter
I am
crash
so
to be
excited. I am
fatal in my entire
I am
life.
so excited to tell you about this. Okay, so there's a scene where Christian Grey, whatever his name is,
this the second one or the third one?
Second one. It's the one that
Okay.
came out last year, right?
Third one that came out last year.
Well, anyways, I
Fine,
don't know.
see-
It doesn't
Who
matter.
cares?
Wait, so the
Yeah.
third one come out this year? Was this year the climax in IMAX?
The climax and IMAX, yeah.
Also, can we just say, literally best marketing campaign. Like,
Yes.
genuinely,
Well-
that's the greatest tagline I've ever seen.
But they didn't even, like, they literally just said, see the climax, and then the very bottom was, like, also see it in IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
They could have done see the climax in IMAX, and it would have been
damn it.
amazing. Anyways, go ahead, Jason.
But this scene, I think it's the second one. Who cares? The Christian Grey's on a helicopter for some reason nobody knows, and he crashes into a forest, and it's like the fucking helicopter crashes for like 10 minutes, and you're like is it gonna crash? And it finally crashes, and you're like, oh, what happened to Christian Grey? And then it shows his love interest, whatever her name is, and she's watching the news.
Anastasia Steele, motherfucker.
Anastasia Steele.
That's her name?
Yeah. Whoa! That's amazing. But she's watching the news. Literally, next scene, it cuts to this from the helicopter crash. She's watching the news, and she's like, and it shows it shows the helicopter like on fire and stuff, and she's like, Christian was on that helicopter. And then all of a sudden he just comes through the door, and then literally nothing happens after that. That's all they talk about. They're like,
You got the helicopter.
he's like, I'm okay, and she's like, yay, and then it just moves on. I was like, what?
And they
You
have
can't
all
do
of the
this.
sex.
Yeah.
They have all the sex.
Incredible.
Yeah, I heard helicopter crashes boost your sex drive by like 10%.
I think all of ours are the same, right? So should we just say it in unison?
Yes.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Call me by your name, baby.
I was gonna say something else. I couldn't think of anything though.
Oh my god, that movie.
Before we start talking about Call Me By Your Name, are we just going to keep rolling and go and just split it up in 2 parts in post?
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
You guys will find out if you're like 27-ish minutes into the second episode of our
part,
podcast,
then you'll find out.
Then you'll know. But if you're not, you'll also know. We'll see what happens.
But yeah, so almost all of our in unison favorite movie of the year was Call Me By Your Name. I think
For me, it's tied with Blade Runner.
all of the things that have been said about this movie are true. It is one of the best movies of the year. It has one of the best lead performances of the year. if not the best lead performances. It definitely has 2. Honestly, it has 3.
Yeah, Michael Stuhlbarg.
Yep. Yes. Yep. I think the fact that Armie Hammer has not gotten any recognition for this is
Armie Hammer
total
is
bullshit.
Incredible. Timothy Chalamet, obviously the bomb.
I'm just mad that we didn't get to see Armie's hammer. Armie's
hammer.
Am I right?
Okay, but
Jaycee's trying to high five, and none of us are gonna do it.
Shane's gonna do it.
No.
all jokes aside, together we've seen this movie an incredible amount of times.
Yeah.
I think you can say a good thing about a movie and your friend group when you can go see a movie about 2 gay lovers with a group of your friends and have all of you drive home at night completely speechless and almost in tears.
And keep in mind that I thought you were going to say something about how we were comfortable watching like a very gay movie with our male friends. But keep in mind, like, because you might be like, oh, that's not actually that hard. Sorry. Innuendo. But but like keep in mind we were all like 17, 18 when we saw it.
Yes.
We're like peak asshole right now. Like we're the worst age. So like
we had just come from seeing cool sci-fi
worse.
movies and shit like that, and then we just went straight to see
peak asshole.
This movie, and I'm gonna get into a territory that's I don't know how this will come off, but
just,
it just
as I've told you before, just talk about it.
It just drips the most intense.
Why are we doing
I should have given you a pass.
It drips. It just seeps.
No.
All of these, if you've seen the movie,
it's just dripping.
If you've seen the movie, you'll understand why this is awkward. But the whole movie just bleeds this incredible sense.
Better. It's more manly. I like it.
Oh yeah, less gay. Of romanticism that is just like something. A lot of people will come out and say that this is a gay love story.
It's just a love story.
It's literally just one of the most captivating love stories I've ever seen.
That's not the point. That's what I find like so admirable about it. Good at words. Is that like it's the same thing I was talking about with Spider-Man. All of that pressure to like not say what they're feeling or like to really come out. It's not. There's no setup where a villain goes, "You can't be gay." Yeah. No one says that.
It's
all internal.
Yes, it's
they
not
just
about.
Don't want, and it's implied that they're in a time where you probably shouldn't be because it's not going to be.
But there's no like crazy scene where like they're confronted about it and you have to be like, we love each other. It's not any of that cliched bullshit. It's literally just a movie about
just 2 people falling in love.
About 2 people who fall in love, and the fact that the movie is able to kind of it literally like by the end of the movie, like this is going to sound weird, but it almost undresses you. Like you just feel very comfortable and
still not
emotionally
it kind of
really.
it like completely desensitizes you.
It takes down all your walls.
Yes.
I will say
because you stop looking at this movie as a 17-year-old boy falling in love with like a 23-year-old dude. You just see it as 2 people who are like, well, really your main character is like having his first like summer affection. Like for anyone who's ever had that kind of moment in their life where they've had like a summer fling or like something like that. This movie is kind of like what that is about. Also, the music. There's 3 songs that I want to talk about. Feudal Devices.
I have 3 songs as well. That's so funny.
Feudal Devices, which is a great song, but is not as important as the other 2, which is Mystery of Love and Visions of Gideon.
See, the Feudal Devices scene hits me
best.
Or I like
I think it's because of the scenery. But the Mystery of Love and Visions of Gideon, I think.
All by
Sufjan Stevens.
That's how you got it.
They all
Sufjan
Stevens. They all promote that point of that it's kind of just about like what love is, and I mean literally one of the songs is called "The Mystery of Love." It's about the mystery of love, and it's literally
I'm the mystery of love.
I'm Mr. Lee of love.
I'm Mr. Lee of love.
But the whole movie is just about what it's like to be just so incredibly passionate about someone, and then what it's like on both the good ends and the bad ends in such a realistic way that it's just one of those kind of movies that it's really just hard to swallow once you finish watching it because
Why?
Little did you know I'm doing this
guys.
all on purpose.
Yeah, guys, I wouldn't say this movie's all peaches and cream. I would say it's all peaches and ween, though.
That was good. There's a scene where a
He
character
fucks a peach.
a character ejaculates into a fruit, and the fruit is a peach. So when he said peaches and cream, he's talking about
I wouldn't say it's
yes.
all peaches.
the peach, and the cream was ejaculate.
I wouldn't say it's all peaches and cream, but
Yeah, we heard
man,
you.
this movie was hard to swallow.
Oh God.
But
You just keep making like I don't know how you accidentally did that so many times.
Did they in the movie?
What?
No, I don't want to know.
Oh, no, wait, what? No.
No, you know what? Actually, that raises a good point. We should, for those of you who haven't seen it, which again, why the hell are you watching or listening to this? It's really not super sexual.
No, not at all.
It's just romantic.
Yes.
Like it's very.
There's no
It's purely like
penis
emotional.
at all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
purely
not like
Yeah.
Peaches
They
and
ain't
cream
getting
are
there.
Romantic?
It's not
the
50
sex
Shades of
scene
Grey,
from
but
MacGruber. I don't know why. It's just that scene. Whenever I think of a sex scene, I think of that scene from that movie. You've seen it, right?
Todd, is everybody all right?
There's a scene where
that sex scene?
no,
that is
Because that's the
not-
only scene I know from
it's
MacGruber.
That's not
just
a
a scene
sex
where
scene.
he's like he's saying something to her.
Wow,
and it
we
just
are
cuts to
totally-
them, like having sex, and it's just really awkward and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and he's just like, oh. It's just like it's so funny though. I don't-
But
Because
okay,
it's Will Forte.
Anyways,
It's great.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just romantic and intimate, but not. It's not Game of Thrones. It's not even that Blade Runner scene.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
it
very,
really is
very
tasteful, which I
Yes.
hate to say because like it should.
Yeah.
If a dude and a woman fucking on TV is fine, it should be fine for two dudes. But like. I will say, like, it's I hate that word tasteful, but it is. It's just romantic.
It's just there. It is just a movie about what it's like to
It's about love.
be in love and what it's like to lose a love,
Yeah.
especially one that one that you think is going to be there forever, and then all of a sudden is gone. The last 3 minutes of this movie, honestly, one of the hardest things to watch.
No. I'm
No,
laughing.
Jaycee's face is what got me.
No, I'm laughing. I've started laughing. It's because I even have written down the words "funny theater experience." I want to explain.
yeah, I know what
So
you're talking about.
we're watching it for like the 4th time in a theater, and it gets to the very end, and the credits play a 3 to 5 minute
It's
long
literally
shot.
just Timothée Chalamet crying
Yeah.
with visions of Gideon playing, which is what
Yeah.
exemplifies the whole scene.
Yeah, and he's crying because Armie Hammer has just called Armie Hammer's character has just called him and said, "I'm getting married."
Oliver, thanks.
Oliver.
All right, asshat.
Thanks.
It's Oliver.
Oliver, thanks.
So Elio's crying.
Anyways,
So so he's crying, and we're sitting there, and I personally am trying to open myself up emotionally, and that was the least
No.
sexual.
no. I'm just
No,
laughing
he's-
because I remember what it was.
Oh, okay.
was
Oh,
good.
yeah. But so I'm sitting there, I'm like,
I forgot.
it's really difficult personally for me to cry during movies. I think just because
Yes.
I'm looking at the craft of it. But so I'm sitting there telling myself do it. Why not? Open yourself up. You feel it. Why not? Really just let that emotion build. And then up the stairs, so I'm sitting on the far right side, and up the stairs on the far left side, I just hear a bag crinkling, and I'm like, huh? And these two middle-aged, it's like a middle-aged couple walk up, and they turn onto our row and walk in front of all of us and go, excuse us, sorry, so sorry, excuse us. Are these our seats? And they're checking our tickets, and they sit down next to me, and I just I'm looking at I was looking at the screen, and again, it's the last 5 minutes of the movie, and they're walking in with a full
the
tub of
most
popcorn.
emotional part of the entire movie.
And they walk up the stairs and walk across, and I look from the screen over to my left and just watch them slowly hobble across, apologizing in whispers as they cross the screen, and then I just watch them even as they sat down next to me, and I just had the most what the fuck look on my face.
Turns out they
And-
showed up 30 to 45 minutes early to the next movie that was showing in that
But
theater.
so I'm sitting there and I'm looking at him, and then I slowly turn back to the screen. I'm like, well, I guess.
Well, I can't cry now.
I'm like, well, I guess that's it. And then I hear from next to me, and then I hear, oh wait, wrong row. And then they stand up and they walk up the stairs on the right now, up another row, and then sit down. And then I'm just like,
We are all
what the
staring
hell?
in disbelief.
Yeah. And then the lights come up and we all get it. We all leave. And I was like, I was genuinely confused for a good week.
Yeah.
I was like, were they here for the next showing? Because they just spoiled the whole movie for themselves, or like were they there for that showing? Because like,
late.
why even
Pretty
come
late.
in at that point? But yeah, an incredibly beautiful movie, directed
come on,
super
honey,
well.
We're gonna be late.
Yeah.
We're gonna miss the credits.
But yeah, the things I have written down are, I literally have the words "just magic"
Just
written
magic.
down. Michael Stuhlbarg's monologue is incredible.
Oh my god, I almost forgot about that.
I found out later that the entire movie was shot on one 35mm lens, and that to me is like the most impressive thing ever. It directed incredibly. The only song that Coley didn't talk about that I wanted to talk about was it's a purely piano piece.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think it plays in the trailer. It's like
I'll find it.
It's more.
I
have
is
it
it the
written
one
down.
when his mom is reading him the story?
Yeah,
It's
it's
the really
the one
rolling
where it's
one.
like
Oh, May
No, I
in,
think
May
we're
in the back. That's May in the backyard.
Yeah, that's me in the back. I'm talking about
There's one
Bark
where it's raining outside.
I'm talking about that might be it. It's called Un barque sur l'ocean. I don't know how you say it, but it's like
I got you.
it's Un barque sur l'ocean. L apostrophe ocean. And it's this really like flowy, like glittery piano that's just incredible.
Oh yeah. It does, definitely does play in the trailer.
It's
That one.
Yeah, it
I
is-
had a different one in mind.
It's beautiful. It's super summery because I've been wanting to like write like a summery thing probably since I saw it, and I just can't seem to do it. But it's super summery. And the one thing that I haven't heard anyone talk about, but that I find incredible, is that I think until they really, meet up and do the deed, the whole movie is flirting. And I mean that, it's not just like, reverse shot of them sitting there flirting with each other, but like the way,
fucking weird.
I mean, it would be, it would be like an average movie, but it's so not average. But like the way it's cut together, the music, everything, it's flirting. And the best example I can think of is when they ride their bikes out to the spot that Elio's like, this is my spot, like I come here to read in the river. They start talking, and then they get up to a point, like it escalates. Their conversation escalates to a point where you're like, oh, they're gonna get romantic, and then it hard cuts to they've stopped talking, and they're still in the same spot, but they've stopped talking. And I think it's a shot of Armie Hammer stretching, and then he does something, and then he's talking to Elio, and they start to get to a point of truth again, and then we cut, and then they're both standing separate, and then Elio like kicks some water on him, and then jumps on him, and they start wrestling, and it starts to get physical and romantic, and it hard cuts, and then they're sitting in the grass, and then they finally kiss, and that whole thing. That's what I mean by it's flirting is it keeps ramping up, and like again, emotionally, not in like a sexual way, but it like gets up to where a climax to the scene would happen.
Climax.
Yeah, I know, but like it gets up to a point of like, oh, something's finally gonna happen, and like something romantic, they're gonna say what they mean, whatever, and then it cuts away from it, and you sort of go back to square one, and it keeps building up and then ramping up and up and up, and then they finally, and that to me is like the most the thing about that movie.
Yeah,
is it just
definitely.
The movie is love, and it is flirting,
Exactly.
and I love it.
It's phenomenal.
Apparently, The Shape of Water is a horror movie.
Apparently.
What? Oh, that. Do you guys want to talk about that?
I will just say a quick thing because we're running low on time here. I think that movie is wonderfully beautiful and has a lot to say and deserves all of the praise that it's getting. And it's on my list for a reason. But the more that I watch, the more that I think about it, and the more I think about the other movies that I saw, it kind of just slowly falls down. Yeah. And I think it's wonderfully directed, and I think it's an amazing, amazing achievement.
It's just, like,
there are other things that were so much better to me.
And see, for me, my opinion on it, and I'll say this really quick, is same with the only other Guillermo del Toro movie that I've seen, which is Pan's Labyrinth. Is a lot of people are like, it's incredible, it's amazing, and I can see the craft, like watching Shape of Water, I can see how it's super well directed. The shooting is very smart. It's the same as, what were we talking about where I said it's smart? Oh, Dunkirk. No,
Dunkirk.
it might have been Dunkirk, where I was
Dunkirk.
like, it's very smart, but it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, the score. That's what it was. The score. That's how Shape of Water is to me. It's super smart. I get how it's romantic. It's funny, whatever. But the look of it and the music and just everything about it, it just doesn't hit me the way.
I just like to
that doesn't mean I dislike it. It's the same as like the Beatles are like the best band of all time, but my favorite band is a band that's like much worse. Like it just I I don't enjoy it as much, but I can see how it's incredible.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And I also just want to say for the record, as much as I enjoy this movie and its music, I think it's bullshit that Phantom Thread did not
I
win the Oscar.
Wait, what? I forgot about that.
Yeah, Shape of Water won.
No,
Yeah.
I just got real sad.
Great
again.
soundtrack, but it should have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll move on because we have. Let's try to get through these last couple ones. A little fast.
Next up is comedy.
There's only one movie I want to talk about here, and I feel like it's the same for you.
I didn't expect.
I have a lot.
With comedy, I didn't
my
expect
goodness.
Jumanji to be as great as it was. I
Yeah.
mean, it wasn't,
I heard it was
wasn't
very
great.
surprisingly good.
It was good. It's a fun movie to put on when you're like like a group of friends.
Yeah. Like Thor Ragnarok, but like almost a little bit better crafted for me personally. Just because like the way Thor Ragnarok had some rushed moments, I felt like Jumanji didn't do that as much personally.
I don't think they tried to make it a serious movie.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
obviously. Did you know they're making a third one?
Really.
Not surprised.
With
They
the-
made
with
a
the same people?
garbage amount of money.
Well, I heard it was supposed to be like the first one serious, but then I saw Dwayne Johnson's gonna be in it.
Yeah.
Again.
So no.
Yeah.
Hey, Skyscraper in theaters near you.
God.
Oh yeah.
God.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, so
yeah.
The Dark Tower.
Mine.
Oh God.
the Dunkle turd.
I heard that movie was bad. Anyways, my favorite comedy.
Hold on. I wanna talk a little bit about Jumanji. I also thought it was a lot funnier than I thought it was gonna be, and it like turned out to be really solid. And it was it felt like a video game, which is like what it was supposed to, but the way it sort of like goes like step by step. I don't know. I thought it was good. What do you have anything else? That you feel
I like the smoldering intensity.
Smoldering intensity.
Yes. Each of the people had superpowers, and then one of them, like for Kevin Hart, his weakness was cake, and then his weakness was weakness. And then for Dwayne Johnson's, one of his strengths is smoldering intensity.
Ooh.
Yeah. So he literally like just does a smolder, and then the two female characters. Well, so Karen Gillan's, I don't know how you pronounce it, female character, and Jack Black's female character go, oh my god, they're like super into it.
That's funny.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Favorite comedy? Kidnap. I'm just kidding.
Funniest movie of the year by far.
Probably Ingrid Goes West.
Yeah, I have that written down. I'll say one thing about it. I think Ingrid Goes West has the best screenplay of the year, and I'll stand by that till the end of time.
And
I think that is an incredibly well written movie wrapped up in a pretty all right package. Kind of like how I kind of feel the same way about 3 Billboards.
I don't know. I don't think there were really any comedies that struck me like anything that I was like oh. So I'm just gonna go with the one that has like the best.
Yeah.
Well written.
I'd also I'll go over this quickly. Disaster Artist, hilarious, great movie. I'd say it's more than a comedy. I'm not going to touch on it for too long because I'm not as big a fan of it as everyone else is.
Actually, I guess it would be, I don't know. Say Brigsby Bear.
Yeah, that's what.
That's the top of my
more
comment.
of a-
Yeah, me too.
More of a I would go with that then.
Yeah.
Because that reminds me, Disaster Artist, the reason I didn't like Disaster Artist as much is because it follows the same pattern.
But it's just not as impactful,
yeah.
in my opinion.
I think Brigsby Bear was a lot more.
Brigsby Bear to me is like an ode to
The craft.
to the to like the art of like just going out and making films with your friend, which I think
I
has
guess
been,
to the spirit of it.
is exactly the
what,
whole spirit
What
of
the I hate to use this word, but like what the layman thinks of as making a movie, like that's what.
Yeah.
That's the vibe of Brigsby Bear.
I'm gonna say that it's definitely the funniest movie of the year, but I say that knowing that Brigsby Bear is way more than a comedy.
Yeah.
So much more than a comedy. It was my favorite movie until I saw all the other movies that went in front of it. It's just brilliant. I think it exemplifies everything that I feel as someone who wants to make films when they grow up. I think it's an incredible movie.
I think it's really cool, and it's also really dope as shit.
It's really
Nice. Reference.
Reference that no one will get because like
thank you very much.
Thank you. That feels very nice. Thank you.
For real, watch that movie. That's
It's
a good
incredible.
It's so good.
Do you have anything else?
Okay, yeah, so under comedy, this is the one I have the most of, but I'll go over them really quick. Brigsby Bear, I said it's hilarious, it's heartfelt, it truly is very inspiring. Mark Hamill kills in the amount that he's in it. Kyle Mooney is amazing, obviously. Greg Kinnear was really good. I really enjoyed the soundtrack. It's like this really simple, like synthy, like sort of plucky. I don't know how to talk about music, but it was really good. And I said it was just all around fun and solid, and it was a really original idea. Also, I think I'm the only one that has talked about this. The Meyerowitz stories, new and selected, Noah Baumbach's movie. awesome.
Great movie.
Dope.
Great movie. Talk about good Adam Sandler performances.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hilarious. The writing is incredible. It's kind of dramatic and a little bit stressful at times. It has great performances from Ben Stiller, Adam Sandler, Dustin Hoffman. Elizabeth Marvel plays Ben Stiller and Adam Sandler's sister, and she doesn't do a ton in the movie, but like her one scene that's supposed to be really dramatic is really dramatic and really funny. It really was greatly written. What I love about it is that all the dialogue is very indirect. And a lot of people are like talking over each other, but you totally understand what they mean from what they say when they're saying something like completely opposite of it. And I don't know how the hell he did that, because everyone talks fast too, and so it keeps up that indirectness and that subtlety for an hour and a half of people talking super fast.
It truly is incredibly interesting how that movie came together. It feels so real.
And I was gonna say it felt very accurate to families, and I love the way it was shot, because it must have been shot on like.
The only problem I have
11mm or something, because like it's super grainy, but I love it.
The only problem I have with Merowitz is literally like its last minute and a half.
What did the last minute and a half?
Because it does lots of fade outs. In the very end, it kind of just shows something and then ends, and it just kind of feels like it wasted all the build up.
I wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
It's dope.
It's incredible. It's on Netflix. Go watch it right now.
I have 3 billboards under here because it's a black comedy. I said it's bitingly funny. It's like in Bruges. Martin McDonagh has something about midgets. I already said that. I already talked about I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. It really is incredible. Disaster Artist, I said it's also hilarious and heartfelt. Like they said, it's pretty similar. It follows similar themes and a similar pattern to Brigsby Bear. But it rang different to me personally just because it's it's very like LA specific. And it's very about like what's it like making it in Hollywood. And I said James and Dave Franco kill it. Apparently James Franco directed In Character, which I think is really, really funny.
He did.
And he said something interesting. This will be really quick, but it should be longer. But James Franco said in his director's cut interview, right? Director's cut? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Saying that out loud, it sounded like it wasn't the right name. But he said in that what he finds so interesting about that movie, The Room, because Disaster Artist is about the guy who made The Room, Tommy Wiseau. Tommy Wiseau.
Thank you.
Tommy Wiseau! So what he said about it was that the reason so many people feel comfortable laughing, and don't feel like jerks laughing at The Room, is that it's the same logic of laughing at a guy who slips on a banana peel. Because if a guy just slips on a banana peel, it's not really funny. But if it's the fact that the guy, is like running and then like sees the banana peel and is like, whatever, like I'm too smart to trip over that, and then steps over it and then keeps going, and then gets like chased back out of the room or something, and then forgets and slips. And the funny part of it is that guy was cocky, and so we feel like he kind of deserved it, when he falls over it, because it's like, you idiot, like you were like, oh, that won't get me, but then like, it's just funny because it's like he had such a big opinion of himself, and that's why James Franco feels like we can laugh at Tommy Wiseau, is because since the movie has come out and it's gotten big, he does this thing where he's like, oh yeah, I was like totally, it was a joke, obviously, like it's like half dramatic, half funny, but like it's I made it ironic on purpose when it's so obvious.
He was trying to make.
It's so obvious that he was trying to make a really good movie, but it wasn't, and I just thought that was interesting, and I thought it was really real. And then The Big Sick, which you guys didn't talk about, that was another one that was really heartfelt, really funny, intimate, very real. Holly Hunter, Zoe Kazan, according to my phone, Kumail Nanjiani. Kumail Nanjiani and Ray Romano. They all kill it. And again, it was really real. It was really funny. Yeah, everybody loves Raymond.
Yeah, I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah. He plays Zoe Kazan's character's father, and it's just really funny and good. Yeah, I don't know.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's great, but I need to.
Yeah, it's awesome. You guys should check it out. All right, next genre is horror. So Shane, what horror? You saw it, right? I don't know that was on your list.
I have not seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, because it feels like
I thought
that's all everybody has to talk about it, is how wonderful it is. And I think it's a great movie, but I think it's
I wanted to see it. I thought it was good.
I think I know what Shane's horror movie is.
What is my horror movie?
Get Out.
No, it's Mother.
It's Mother, obviously.
Oh, really?
I didn't like Get Out very well.
What? Really? I thought you loved
Racist.
it.
I really enjoyed Get Out.
Racist?
Yeah, that's basically the consensus on the internet right
I
now.
also thought it was going to be Get Out, because I thought you really loved it.
Also, can we say that is the stupidest thing in human history? I think we all agree, at least slightly, that there's a possibility that the reason that movie is at 100% or 99 now is because
of its racial politics.
Yeah, on Rotten Tomatoes.
I mean, we're all white people, and some people might be get upset at us saying that, but
I like it.
It's an incredible movie.
I don't know that it deserves 100%, mainly because all the black people. No, I'm joking. No, like it's okay. That's, I'm so glad that I got you guys to do that. But but seriously, it's kind of dumb that people are like, you have to like it or you're racist, or I don't like it because of people like that. It's a solid movie. It's super well constructed. It's like Baby Driver and Edgar Wright movies where everything's set up in the beginning and then comes back at the end.
Exactly.
Jaycee's looking at me skeptically and like texting.
Yeah.
He's calling the police.
He's texting the racism police.
Racist.
Yeah. He's like, dear racism police.
Racist puffs. Racist.
But yeah, no. I mean, genuinely, good movie. But I think it's kind of dumb that that's the thought about it.
Yeah. I agree. Wholeheartedly. Great movie.
Same thing with Black Panther. Just saying.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. I agree. Yeah. But
same thing. Oh yeah.
With Black Panther, that was for me. That was like a 7.5 out of 10. They kind of ripped off Lion King. A lot of parts were rushed. A lot of the CGI was really bad. And what I've said.
Wow, they did rip off Lion King. I have not thought about that. Wow, that movie is literally Lion King.
Like hardcore, like a lot. But like. I mean, there are some solid bits of it, but I just feel like it's dumb that...
Saying you don't like it? Racist?
I am fine with it. It's just, it could have been better. Doesn't matter.
Anyway. So yours is Mother?
Yeah, mine's Mother.
Talk about it.
You talk, and then I want to talk about this movie because I am infatuated with this movie.
When I was watching it the first time, I think it was all four of us, right?
Yeah, all four of us saw it together. Yep. That was one of our first.
I'm usually bad at like figuring out movies as they're going, so I have to read online, like on Wikipedia, what they're about, and that's exactly what happened to this one.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I had no idea what was happening the entire movie. It was starting to make no sense with all like the soldiers rushing in and the grenades going off, and I thought it was just trying to be like this crazy movie that made no sense. But then after we talked about it and everything, that it had all these underlying meanings, it got a lot better in my opinion.
I've never seen a movie where I feel like you have to know like a little bit of the Bible before you see it. And I never thought that movie would be Mother.
I never thought that movie would be a Jennifer Lawrence movie directed by the guy who made me never want to do heroin. Requiem for a Dream. Darren Aronofsky. Anyways, so I could go on for literally years about this movie. Honestly, Blade Runner and Mother switch all the time on my list. I still think Blade Runner is probably the better movie.
Really?
Personally, Mother to me is I prefer it more. I'd watch it again over Blade Runner. I think Blade Runner is the better film. I think Mother to me is more of my kind of movie. I know that's kind of weird.
What did you get more out of?
No,
what did I get more out of?
Mother or Blade Runner?
Mentally, Mother. In terms of visually and sonically, it's Blade Runner without a doubt. I don't know. I am a very big fan of batshit insane movies that seem crazy on the surface but have incredible meanings. A really good example of this is an Ingmar Bergman film by the name of Persona. It's just odd and unusual, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's very much like you're kind of like, and I'm pretty sure this falls under the Persona. I'm pretty sure it's the same genre of film that Persona is. Your German expressionism films, where all of the characters' internal emotions are shown through actions. So if someone feels immense anger, shit just starts catching on fire. That's very much what Mother is. Mother is, I mean, in all honesty, it's like a Habitat for Humanity PSA on crystal meth. And it's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. And a lot of people really hated this movie because they felt like it was a whole lot of things that it was not. When in reality, it was just showing a very... It was explaining to people who just might understand in a very explicit way just how... essentially, the movie is a giant allegory for Mother Earth and the way it's treated. And the movie, I think, in layman's terms, just shows just how, in a human way, how graphically violent...
our treatment of
yes, exactly. And to get in a very pretentious way. That's not saying that you're pretentious, but I'm just saying it's.
No. I disagree that it's pretentious.
I don't think it's pretentious at all, as a matter of fact. But it's very much just it's just completely genius. It's the kind of movie that I want to be able to tell myself I can make, because it is so crazy. The moment that a child dies and they are literally like,
that cut is really interesting too.
Yes,
because it's kind of a jump cut, and as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, I fucking get it.
Yes,
I was like,
the movie goes to a place that makes perfect sense with the theme that it is saying, but out of the context of its events is the most horrifying thing you've probably ever seen in a movie in your entire life.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean,
I've seen Hereditary. So.
Yeah.
Another episode.
Speaking of that, so a lot of people have a lot of problems with it, and what I would like to say about that is that a lot of the like complaints that I've read are there's like no substance.
There's so
to
much
it,
substance.
Which
there's shit about that movie that some people still haven't even figured out.
That person, I must have been like texting during the movie. Like, I really don't get it. I see the opposite of it, which is I can understand the complaint of, because it's all allegory and it's all a metaphor, the characters aren't really characters. But see, my thing is I'm totally fine with that, because for the first 2/3 of the movie, I didn't realize that. I was just like, what is going on? Why are people acting weird? And I was like, it'll explain it. And then it explains it by saying they're not real. Exactly. It's all an allegory, but in like a really interesting way. And see, I'm like, that's dope. I've never seen a movie that did that before. And I thought that was really cool. You know, because like there are twists, but in this one, and it's sort of subtle, and it's not, you couldn't even call it a twist.
A twist.
I will say,
a twist.
Mother.
But like, I get people being like, the characters like aren't characters; they're just metaphors. And I'm like, yeah, but that's okay.
But that's the point.
But like speaking of Hereditary, and sorry, what I was gonna say. Sorry to like double interrupt you. Is I felt like Hereditary did that in a really interesting way. Hereditary came out this year. We're in the future for the 8th time, whatever. I like that in Hereditary, it's a metaphor for like a family drama, and like family scars and like mental illness being passed down, and it's also real. Like the culty stuff is real, and like the monster in quotation marks is real. Whereas in Mother, you just find out at the end, it was all metaphor.
Exactly.
But
in the same way,
it exists.
It's real
too, which is why it's. I love it. I really like it. It's not. It doesn't hit me the way like Blade Runner hits me. Mm-hmm. That is one where I'm like, oh yeah, that's like a total like brain like jerk off. Yeah. Like I don't know. It just doesn't. It's very intellectual and I will say impactful in that it's like, I forgot what I was going to say.
I will say...
Welcome to the chilled out, groovy section of the podcast where we all get tired.
Yes, because we've been talking for 3 hours about movies.
Yeah.
I will say, I give Mother literally the highest possible recommendation I can give, saying that, also knowing that Mother is the hardest movie I've ever seen in my entire life to recommend. Because it's hard to just be like, yeah, let's go watch a movie. We're Jennifer. Oh, it made it into our yearbook. That's another story for another day.
No.
But it's
crazy.
It's fascinating if you're into very odd, very weird, very for the point of just straight up cinema. Watch Mother. It's genius, and Darren Aronofsky deserves all the praise.
All right, my horror movies other than Mother are Get Out and It. And with Get Out, I'll talk really quick. Jordan Peele is hilarious. Clearly, in my opinion, everyone seemed surprised, it seemed like, when this came out at how smart it was. But from watching Key and Peele, I could tell that he was like a genius. It's really smart. Like I said, it's sort of like Edgar Wright-esque, where, he sets up lines like, the blind guy talking about how he's blind, and then at the end he wants Chris's eyes. All that stuff. It sets up and it comes back, so it's just smart. It's very like, he knows his Chekhov's guns. Daniel Kaluuya is insane in that movie, and it was funny. It was biting. It was angry. It's 2018, so it was like the movie equivalent of This Is America. The video. It was great. And then with It, that movie is a comedy. Like that is not really a horror movie to me.
Totally
that's not how I see it. It's kind of scary. I said all the kid actors are great. And what's interesting is it made me feel watching it the way kids movies or like Indiana Jones or like stuff like that or like I guess the Goonies made me feel when I was little. I haven't seen the Goonies, but movies like that I just can't think of any examples. But just like a fun kid adventure. But I think because it was like adulted up, it still hit me. You know what I mean? Like those did. Like it felt like a fun adventure, and I was pumped leaving that movie. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. I thought it was fun. Bill Skarsgård was great, but my complaint is that there was a little too much CGI. And it wasn't. And I personally didn't find it spooky just because jump scares aren't. All right, last one, and I think you saw it, right?
You saw Icarus?
Yeah, Icarus.
Oh, I didn't get to do my horror movie.
Oh,
oops. I thought Mother was.
Yeah.
Sorry, never mind.
No, my favorite. I loved Mother, but I think mine was The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I don't know if any of you saw it.
yeah.
So, speaking
might
of
have
weird
seen that.
films that are giant metaphors.
Yeah, that movie is insane. It's like Hereditary.
The guy that directed The Lobster did that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's like Hereditary, but not as like culty or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's very weird. It's like this doctor befriends a young boy who is mad at him because he may or may not have killed his dad when in a surgery. So he puts this curse on his family, and it causes them to lose like feeling in their legs, and like they start slowly dying until he kills one of them. That's like the whole. He's trying to get his revenge.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, there's this one scene in the movie that just sold it for me. It's at the very end where he has to choose to shoot one. He ties up all his family members, and he has to choose to shoot one of them. And he doesn't know who to choose, so he puts a bag on his head and he spins around with a rifle. Craziest scene. It is so intense. It's amazing. If you haven't seen the movie, which a lot of people haven't, I'd recommend
so
seeing
good.
it.
Also,
It's crazy.
read up on your Greek mythology.
Yes, it's also a big metaphor.
All right, our last genre is documentary.
This will probably be the one that we have the least to say about, but it's the film that we all have here because it's probably really the only notable documentary that we've seen is worth talking about.
Due to an unfortunate audio error, the original recording of the title of the next film discussed is unintelligible, so I will say it now. Icarus. Talking Pictures apologizes for this error and thanks you for your patience.
Which is about it starts out, and I'll talk about why this is sort of getting into why it's crazy. It starts out about a cyclist who is like Tour de France style guy who is like, how did Lance Armstrong and people like that get away with, doping for so long? Like, how easy is it? And so he gets a doctor and he's like, hey, can you help me out? And the doctor's like, yeah, I guess. And then, because it's like part of an experiment, he's going to dope and, see if he can get past it. Like, how, exactly how he's going to go through the what those cyclists go through and document it. And then the doctor comes back and he's like, I don't want to get discredited, bye, but here is the name of a Russian doctor, like the head of the Russian doping agency. So he is telling this guy to find the head of the guy, or the Russian anti-doping agency, I should say. The guy who does the tests to see whether people are doping or not is the guy that's going to help our, main guy dope, which already sets up, like, it gets a little crazy. Then as the movie goes on, it turns into this like international spy thriller.
Exactly.
Where
that's all real.
Yeah,
real.
The Russian anti-doping agency gets shut down during like the next Olympics, and so that doctor, because this guy is his like closest American, like confidant, he's like, I need like asylum now, and so they fly him out. He like lives with this guy for a little while, and then like he goes back, and there's like there are investigations. It is batshit, and it is super interesting.
The most bizarre true story. It legitimately goes from a very innocent experiment to the most frightening real spy thriller.
Yeah, and like the doctor's like not underling, but like someone that worked with or for him, who like knew about what was going on, dies in quotation marks mysteriously from a heart attack in Russia, like a day before this doctor is gonna leave. Or no, I think that's what makes the doctor go like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
And like he leaves his family behind, and it's like really emotional, and it paints this like interesting portrait of a guy who's like kind of a douche, because like, you know, he's helping people dope all the time, but like, you know, you really feel for him. It was super interesting, super good, I felt.
Fascinating. Also on Netflix. Give it a watch.
Yeah. All right, and then our last category is best film. So can you describe that, Coley?
Best film, this will round out before we get into our top 10 list. Best film is very much the best movie that just literally is a testament to the art form, the best film, the best experience that it only could have been accomplished as a piece of cinema. That's what best film is.
See, I didn't know that when I made my list, so mine's a little different. But I mean, I think a lot of it applies. So, Jaycee,
Huh?
or actually, Shane, you have some picks, right? You know, you didn't see as many.
Just my best film. That'd be probably Baby Driver.
Yeah,
Baby Driver. Okay.
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, me now?
Yeah.
You know,
Probably Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. I very much agree. I would say there's a few I could pick, but I think the best staple as a cinematic experience is Mother. I think that's the kind of movie that doesn't exist in any other art form.
I felt best testament to movies was Baby Driver, just because of like with the music and the action and all that. It could only really be a movie. I mean, it could be like a video game, but that would be weird. But my like the best movies that I felt came out, it goes Kidnap.
Number one.
So for those of you who don't know,
Kidnap is the best movie of all
Kidnap. We saw that movie last year in the theater. Sorry, we're sliding our tablecloth
Teamwork.
across.
That kind of just happened.
We saw it's a movie that came out last year. It's starring Halle Berry. It is literally the funniest movie I have ever seen.
It's not supposed to be funny.
And it is not at all supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be really dramatic.
Boy,
It's like an action movie. Please, God, watch it. It is like The Room, but I haven't seen The Room.
Or don't if you haven't seen any of the actual good movies that came out last year.
Yeah.
Because
No, that should be top of the list.
you think?
Kidnap.
No.
Give that woman an Oscar.
But so
anyways.
my best, it goes as again, this isn't like best cinematic experience, but just like the best movie. Call Me by Your Name is number 1, then Blade Runner is number 2. Even though as far as favorites, those two are tied. And then Phantom Thread is probably 3, and then Kidnap is number 0. Because it goes, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0. So it's the top best movie ever. All right.
Okay.
Before we move on to our top 10s, do you guys just want to go over what you think was your personal favorite? Maybe we can go ahead and say top.
What, our favorite top 10s?
Our personal top 10. We don't have to talk
our
about them,
personal?
but just list through them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shane, Shane had.
I don't have a specific
7, 8, 9.
I don't have a specific top 10, but I just have like a small little group of movies that I liked from that year. That'd be Baby Driver, obviously, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Loved that a lot more than Volume 1. Thor, Wind River was pretty good. Logan Lucky was alright. Wonder Woman was decent. My dad liked that for some reason. And Blade Runner.
Shane's dad. Yes, sir.
And Blade Runner.
And Blade Runner. Solid
Jaycee?
movie. Jaycee.
All right, my top 10. Logan, The Florida Project, A Ghost Story.
We're starting. Jaycee's list starts at 10.
Yes.
Yes, it goes from 10.
Yeah. So I'll count down too, because mine's reverse. Sorry.
Jeez! Sorry, let me start over.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, so number 10, Logan, The Florida Project, A Ghost Story, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Brigsby Bear, 3 Billboards, War for the Planet of the Apes, Phantom Thread, Call Me by Your Name, and Blade Runner.
Yes, sir. Me also starting from number 10. I actually wrote this down as an acronym instead of the entire phrase. So according to me, number 10 is Idfa Hitwa.
Yeah, baby.
Idfa Hitwa.
It's I Don't Feel at Home in this one.
Oh, okay.
Number 9 is Good Time, which we definitely did talk about. Man, it's been a long time. Great movie. Then Baby Driver, then The Old Brigsby Bear, then Shape of Water, followed by War for the Planet of the Apes, then Mother, then Blade Runner, then Phantom Thread, and my favorite movie of last year was Call Me by Your Name.
All right. And then Anthony's, starting at 10, was Star Wars The Last Jedi. I'm Anthony, by the way.
This is Anthony.
I'm so confused.
Hi, my name's Anthony. This is Anthony's list. I'm Anthony. Number 10 is Anthony.
Number 9, Anthony.
No, number 10 is Star Wars The Last Jedi. Come at me, nerds. Number 9
Let's
is
fight.
The Meyerowitz Stories, new and selected. Number 8 is The Disaster Artist. Number 7 is The Brigsby Bear. It's just Brigsby Bear. Number 6 is I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore. Then Logan, Baby Driver, 3 Billboards, Outside Ebbing, Missouri. We never said the full title. Phantom Thread. And then number 1, it's a tie. I cheated, but it's a tie between Blade Runner 2049 and Call Me By Your Name.
Sir.
All right, and now we unveil
the official 2017
Top 10 Talking Pictures Top 10 Movies of 2017.
McDonald's.
Metal Gear Solid Gameplay Edition.
Ga.
Mansers.
I forgot about that.
Pull the lever.
Mansers. Boobs. Farts. Explosions.
Mansers. You see that show on Spike TV?
Oh, it's
Spike
so...
TV.
Spike TV.
Mansers.
Sponsored by New Order.
Show for men.
Oh my god. All right.
Anyways.
Oh, Mansers.
Mansers.
I haven't seen it, but I get the
Yeah,
word
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to have Shane read 10, then Jaycee 9, then Coley 8. So read like that.
Number 10 is I Don't Feel at Home in This World Anymore.
Bow, 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 bow.
Number 9. I thought you were going. Anyways, number 9 is Mother.
Number 8, starring huge jacked man, is Logan.
Huge Jack.
Number 7, starring Kyle Moonface, is Brigsby Bear.
Bear.
War
For the Planet of the Apes is number 6.
Starring a man who doesn't play a man.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Baby Driver.
And we have nothing to say about
It's just
Baby Driver. Number 4, who gets the award for the longest title that nobody wants to say. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes. Number 3 is Phantom Thread.
Starring
movie
a
so good that made my nose bleed. Blade Runner 2049.
That is number 2.
And number 1 is Call Me By Your Name.
Crumbie Lima Bean. All right.
That's our movies.
We thank you guys so much for sticking with us through like 2.5 hours of podcast. Probably more. I'm not good at math.
We've been through everything.
At this point, you know that this sad sack has cut it into 2 parts. We had a ton of fun. I think I didn't, but I think they did maybe. But yeah, so we're gonna try to do this every week. This one will probably be week 1 and 2. We're splitting it into 2. Yeah, thanks for listening. Have good ones.
Bye, idiots.
See ya.
And then
I'm just yawning.
and then we'll play the closing track. So it's like doof, 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 doof,
Oh yeah.
goodbye.